A very good evening and a warm welcome to the Business Roundup on our television. Let's look at the key developments in the business arena for the gone week, and before that, let's look at the top stories for today. Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman underscores the value of digitalization in assisting to have inclusive growth policies. Policy think tank highlights the difficulty of registering a sole proprietorship. Subject Minister takes a U-turn on his initial fuel reduction statement. News in detail. Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman highlights that digitalization eases entry barriers to market and massively assists in having inclusive growth policies. Central Bank Governor Professor Lakshman made this observation at the launch event of 2020, the Year of Digital Transactions program held at the Central Bank premises last Wednesday. Central Bank declared 2020 as the Year of Digital Transactions to promote digitalization in doing payments and settlements. The event was officially launched promoting digital transactions to reduce costs and make it easier for users across the country and small businesses to access banks and financial institutions.
Put a stop to cash wade. Digital transactions. Simple, secure, instant. Digital 2020.
The launch of 2020 as the Year of Digital Transactions indicates the acceptance of the digital transactions as a means of transforming Sri Lanka's financial sector, leading to greater financial inclusion and paving the way for enhanced economic growth. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka, being the financial sector regulator, aims to balance opportunities new technology opens up against challenges such technology poses. A number of initiatives the central bank has taken to ensure financial system stability would encourage digital innovations in close collaboration with the banking and FinTech industry. As the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, our priority is the national economy as a whole, maintaining its stability and promoting its growth and development. Digitalization has given regulators many opportunities to achieve their objectives. We have seen how digitalization has eased entry barriers to markets, corrected information anomalies, and encouraged inclusive growth policies.
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Cargill's Bank, Rajendra Tyagaraja, stresses that the efforts of Sri Lankan banks and financial institutions in promoting FinTech startups are not satisfactory. Speaking at the Central Bank's launch event of 2020, the Year of Digital Transactions, Tyagaraja also highlighted that there is no active boardroom sponsorship at bank levels to invest in developing FinTech sandbox.
I'll just mention a couple of important initiatives which I think the industry certainly welcomes. First of all, I think to recognize the importance of the existence of FinTech players, that these people are here to stay and they are here to play an impact in the financial landscape of Sri Lanka. What we don't see, I think, in this sandboxing is, while we get into that sandbox space, before somebody comes into sandboxing, there is a whole phase of incubation. And we hear a lot of this incubation typically taking place in universities and maybe some of corporate Sri Lanka. But sadly, other than maybe one or two players in this industry, we yet don't, at least I have not seen, active boardroom at the bank level. I don't see boardroom sponsorship for financial incubation or even encouraging banks or FIs to invest in incubation to develop that whole thing. Because if you don't get involved from the outset, coming in somewhere in between doesn't really create that full opportunity to nurture something from end to end.
Financial Institutions Group Director for Asia Pacific at the International Finance Corporation, Rosie Khanna, stresses that even though Sri Lanka has made considerable attempts in making an attractive digital financial infrastructure, the level of improvement remains stagnant concerning the fact that the society is still highly away from online or cashless transactions.
When we look at Sri Lanka, the country has made great strides in improving innovative digital financial infrastructure, but the uptake remains low. This became quite evident from the findings of the recent National Financial Inclusion Survey, which was part of the effort to develop the country's first strategy for financial inclusion. The survey showed that in terms of connectivity, Sri Lanka fares well, with approximately 95% of respondents owning mobile phones and internet access, excluding mobile data, being at 19%. The ownership of credit cards and debit cards is gaining popularity among Sri Lankans. We find that Sri Lanka is still very much cash dependent. To give an example, the survey highlighted that familiarity of respondents in using payment cards for retail transactions remained low. Less than 10% reported using credit cards and less than 15% a debit card.
In an effort to give a fresh impetus to the tourism industry impacted by the COVID-19 issue and the April 21st attacks, the Ministry of Tourism plans a new 5-year global communication campaign. The ministry announces that it also has plans to come up new strategies and campaigns, especially in targeting audiences around the globe. Accordingly, the Ministry of Tourism will initially introduce a new 5-year new global communication campaign across 8 target markets. Other than that, they have also planned to seek the cabinet approval to declare the year 2022 as the year of Visit Sri Lanka. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that the campaign will be executed with only the funds of Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau without seeking additional funds from the consolidated fund. He assured to make use of 2.5 billion rupees deposit of Tourism Promotion Bureau fund to supplement the budget required to run the global communication campaign. Minister Ranatunga also said that they expect a total budget of 190 million rupees for the 5-year campaign. The ministry officials said that the last integrated campaign of Sri Lanka tourism was carried out during 2008-2009, and via such a promotional campaign they expect an income of around $10 billion with an arrival figure of 6 million tourists. The official also added that the 5-year plan will also include a mega public relations campaign at a cost of almost $3 million. Other than that, the ministry also seeks cabinet approval to appoint 8 destination representation companies covering the United Kingdom, Germany, France, India, China, Australia, Russia and Gulf Cooperation Council, which includes Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE and Oman, with an investment of $9 million for related activities over a period of 5 years. It also seeks cabinet approval to appoint 8 PR companies for source markets including the US, Spain, Italy, Scandinavian, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, Japan, Korea, Poland and Netherlands with a cost of $6 million for related activities for 4 years. We'll be back with more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Policy think tank Advocata Institute's latest survey, titled Barriers to Micro and Small Enterprises in Sri Lanka, stresses that registration a sole proprietorship is far more difficult than registering private limited company. Speaking exclusively to our television chief operations officer at Advocata Institute, Dhananath Fernando stresses that the law pertaining to the registration of sole and partnership governed by the Business Name Ordinance number 6 of 1918 is redundant and should be amended.
As Advocata Institute, we conducted a survey among micro and small entrepreneurs, and one of the key findings that we found out was that registering a sole proprietorship in Sri Lanka is far way difficult than registering a private limited company, mainly because of the documentation process that any sole proprietor has to go through the divisional secretariat, because they ask for proofing document of your business address, and you have to provide a separate Grama Sevaka Niladari certification, and of course you have to get a no objection letter if you are on rent, and you have to provide NIC details and so many documentations if you are registering a sole proprietorship. But the process is pretty much online if you are registering a private limited company, and which is generally the best practice across the world. But sole proprietorship, which is like the main way of registering a business for micro and small entrepreneurs, it is very, very difficult.
Delivering key recommendations from the survey of barriers to micro and small enterprises in Sri Lanka, Chief Operations Officer at Advocata Institute, Dannath Fernando, also highlighted that the business registration process should be simplified, bringing it in line with the process for company registration. He further pointed out that the application forms and instructions should be provided in all 3 languages, both at the Divisional Secretariat and in online platform, and that an active registration process should be introduced.
And one of the key recommendations from this report is to simplify this registration process, just bring it to an online process, which is just 2 steps, where you have an online application where you put your enter your national identity card number, and which connects to your tax number, and all the details will be there. So that's the main recommendation, and we believe it's extremely unfair to harass these small entrepreneurs at their registration process, because it's a tedious process. You have to provide so many documentation, and you have to go up and down pillar to post when you are going for a divisional secretariat to register a business. So the main recommendation is to have a simplified process, and also it's important to provide all these details in all 3 languages, because when we observed, we realized that when you are registering a sole proprietorship, there's a instruction sheet given, and this instruction sheet is mainly available in Sinhala except for 1 or 2 divisional secretariats which is in Colombo district. So that's important, that to provide information in all 3 languages and simplify the process and bring it to an online system. So that's one of the main findings, other than many other findings, like the access for finance, like the access for technology, and like for lot of regulatory barriers that being hampered and hindered the growth of micro and small entrepreneurs.
Energy Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that the government is still discussing as how to pass the benefits in a fair manner, as the fuel prices at the world market has come drastically down. Minister Amaravira, addressing a media briefing at the Government Information Department last Thursday, said the government needs to give a concession to the general public, but thinking of the ways and means. According to the central bank data, price of a barrel of crude oil at international market was fluctuating over the last few days. The price of a crude oil barrel dropped to the lowest at $33.82 last Wednesday. However, with this gradual declining of the crude oil prices, Minister Mahinda Amaravira told the media that there would be a possible reduction of fuel prices in the country. However, addressing the media last Thursday, Minister Amaravira took a U-turn and said that they are still discussing as how to pass the benefits of falling down of global prices to the general public. He also said that he had discussions with the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa as the Finance Minister, Treasury officials and Power and Energy Ministry officials. Questioned by media, he was assuring that the government needs to pass the benefit to general masses, but they are still looking for a durable mechanism to do it. He also added that the government or the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa do not want to use this for their election campaign. The Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka announces that the prices of vehicles imported from Japan have gone up considering the increase in the value of the Japanese yen. The Japanese yen surged about 3% against the US dollar last Monday to a 3-year high. Meanwhile, the Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka announces that the prices of vehicles imported from Japan have been increased concerning the rise in the value of Japanese yen. Thus, the price of a Suzuki Wagon-R is increased by 170,000 rupees, Toyota Vitz went up by 240,000 rupees, while Toyota Axio is increased by 375,000 rupees and Honda Vezel is up by 400,000 rupees. Chairman of the Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka, Ranjit Piris, also added that the prices of other vehicles imported from Japan might increase in due course concerning the instability of the Japanese yen. And we'll be back after a short break. And welcome back after the break. Over the past few months, Sri Lanka has been expediting the passenger boat service in the country, finding a solution to the ease of traffic congestion and attract tourists. Thus, the latest initiative of this mechanism, the launching of the passenger boat service from Wellawatte to Battaramulla, was kicked off last Wednesday. Accordingly, new passenger boat service from Wellawatte to Battaramulla commenced operations. Meanwhile, Chairman of Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation, retired Major General M.R.W. De Souza, added that boats will run from both locations at 30-minute intervals. One passenger boat can carry 16 persons. Meanwhile, Secretary to Urban Development, Water Supplies and Housing Facilities Ministry, Dr. Priyas Bandhu Wikrama, expressed his views to the media at the event.
Around 7.5 kilometer long stretch will be there, and there will be 4 boats initially, and we'll increase it up to 10 boats gradually. The cost of this total run will be around 60 rupees per person and will take about 30 minutes, and that will ease the congestion along the roads. So in addition to that, there will be parking slots along the city to reduce parking, and parking has created a lot of traffic congestions along the main city area. So if we can do that all together within next 1 year, we might be able to reduce the time at least by 15 to 20%.
And now a subject expert at First Capital Holdings will join us to provide a detailed analysis on stock performances for the past week and amidst coronavirus fears, along with a forecast for the coming week.
We went through a tough week this week with a heavy decline in the stock market. Starting off from Tuesday onwards, Monday was a holiday this week. We saw a trading halt being triggered midday on Tuesday, and then again on Thursday and Friday. So 3 trading halts altogether during this week being triggered because of the circuit breaker, where the S&P SL20 on all 3 occasions declined by over 5%, and that triggered a circuit breaker in the index. And so with that, we saw 30-minute trading halts on 3 out of the 4 days during the week, triggered by heavy selling pressure continuously throughout the week. So at the start of the week, we saw heavy foreign participation as well, primarily on the selling side, supported by local selling pressure as well. But as the week progressed, foreign participation actually significantly declined, and it was panic selling by the local players which triggered the market decline. All shares across the board heavily declined, especially concentrated by the blue chip counters, the mainly John Keir Holdings, banking sector counters, and the blue chips in the consumer sector, CTC, Nestle saw heavy declines in the market. If you take the coming week with the spread of the coronavirus in Sri Lanka, we feel that it has some sort of an impact in the market sentiment and the investor sentiment as well. So with that, we feel that most investors are likely to adopt a wait and see approach as their investment strategy in the coming week. So with that, we believe that the overall market turnover and volumes is likely to be low. So with that, the activity in the market is likely to stagnate. So because of that, we feel that the ASPI index is likely to stagnate throughout the week as we go on to see how the things progress in the virus front in Sri Lanka. So if there is more spreading of the virus, we feel that there could be a bit more of selling pressure that comes in. However, if the situation gets contained, I think there will be more of a stagnation in the market, as most investors will be on a wait and see approach.
And that's all news for today, and log into our Facebook page to get the latest news and updates. And send us your comments and views, opinions via email address and our hotline. With that, we'll be signing off for today. Until then, take care, good night.